Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. Glad to have you here on this Thursday. So I apologize for being a little late coming on. I was at a dinner that had been planned for a couple of weeks now, and so I was doing that, and am just now getting um, back situated. You know. In an effort to do the show. So, thank you for staying up with me. I really do appreciate that. Listen, I really do appreciate that. We don't take any of this for granted by any stretch of the imagination. So, thank you so much for being with us. Listen, I want to also take this opportunity and just start the show by saying thank you to all of you that contributed to us, that showed your overwhelming support to our work on last night. I am so incredibly grateful. I am so incredibly humbled by your support. It's not easy for me, to ask, but I know that I've got to do that, right? I've got to ask because we've got to get this thing paid for so that we can continue doing this. So I was so incredibly moved, and so to all of you that gave, and all of you that tried to give, and the Cash App crashed. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. We're going to put a QR code up tonight and give you an opportunity to scan and to donate. Even if you could only give $1, $5, $3, $2, or whatever it is that you can give, we would be incredibly grateful, incredibly appreciative for anything that you can give to support our efforts. And so that's the QR code there. Until we can get the Cash App back up and running, you can absolutely support us there. It'd be great, if we could get $200 before we get into the meat and the heartbeat of the show tonight. We'll be incredibly grateful if we could get to $200 tonight. So whatever you can give, $1, $2, whatever it is that you can give, your donation and your support will go a long ways for us to keep us. On the air, to keep us going, to keep us bringing you meaningful and positive shows. And here's my mindset. Though it's hard to ask, uh, it's painful, but it's a necessary evil. But here's what I absolutely understand. Here's what I absolutely understand. I do believe that we have to support meaningful media. And Greg, thank you for coining that phrase last night. I do think that we have to support meaningful media, and we've got to support our own, right? We've got to support our own. If you appreciate what we do, if you like what we do, we would absolutely appreciate your support tonight. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart for what you did last night and what you will do tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you for what you're doing. We are eternally grateful, and we'll put um, the QR code up again, and we'll put it up throughout the show tonight. But again, it would be so incredible if we could get some support before we get into the meat of our discussion. So thank you again for doing this. Okay, grateful, honestly. Honestly, absolutely grateful for your support tonight. So send $1, 50 cents, whatever you got. We are appreciative of that. So listen, got lots to talk about tonight. So coming up, we're going to have a conversation with Councilman Kenneth Stokes, and he talks candidly um, about where we are, about how we got here. So we'll get to that in just a moment. But I want to begin tonight almost where we left off on last night, right? I want to begin tonight almost about where we left off last night, and I know we kind of closed the show out with talking about the importance of re-electing Jim Kitchens to the Mississippi Supreme Court. So I kind of want to begin there tonight. Let me tell you something. So someone watched the show on last night and reminded me of a conversation that we had 4 years ago. Someone watched the show last night and reminded me, right? Reminded me of a conversation that we had 4 years ago, right? 4 years ago. The Cash App info is up. The QR code, we can flash it again. It's up. So there are ways to give tonight, and we are appreciative. Scan that code, and you can give to us tonight. And the Cash App information is there as well. But so I was reminded last night after someone watched the show last night. I was reminded last night that I received some information 4 years ago about this lady that's running against Jim Kitchens. So I want to show you who she is first. 4 years ago, I was reminded. So this is Senator Jennifer B. Branning. That's who she is. The red circle is around her. This is who she is. This graphic here are all of the folk who voted against changing the state flag back in June of 2020. And a friend sent me this 4 years ago, right? 4 years ago. So if you know anything about me, you know, I don't speak it if I don't know it, right? I don't speak it if I don't know it. 4 years ago, this was sent to me. This is Senator Jennifer B. Branning. This is who is running against Justice Jim Kitchens for a seat on the Mississippi Supreme Court. She is one of the ones who said, I want to hold Mississippi down. I want to keep my foot on Mississippi's neck. We don't need to change this flag. We're good with the racist emblem that's on the Mississippi flag. She voted against changing the flag. This is who is in the runoff with Jim Kitchens, right? Here's the other information that was sent, and this is text. And a friend said to me, thought you might find this interesting. A bit of history for you. Meet Senator Jennifer B. Branning. That B initial, her maiden name is Barrage. Sound familiar? Olin Lavelle Barrage Sr. was her grandpappy. He owned the land and the dam where the bodies of Schwerner, Cheney, and Goodman were found. He owned that land. Her grandfather. He owned the land, right? He owned the land. Go back to that graphic, the text graphic, please, and then we're going to show you a picture of him. So he owned the land, the dam where the bodies of Schwerner, Cheney, and Goodman were found. He's quoted as saying, listen, he's quoted as saying, quote, hell, I got a dam that'll hold 100 of them. Meaning if you want to kill more, bring them. I can hold him. I got a dam. Hell, I got a dam that'll hold 100 of them. Right? And now let's show you who he is. Let's show you who he is. Top row, second on the right. Second guy, top row, with the glasses. So two guys with glasses on the top row. Right? Yeah, my Cash App is not working. It's screwed up, but you can scan that QR code, Doc, and get through there. But that's who he is. That's who he is. And so this information, just strangely enough, this information was sent to me 4 years ago. A supervisor ever says her grandparents didn't live far from where this guy's land is. 4 years ago, this was sent to me. 4 years ago. 4 years ago. This lady, where the red circle is running for a seat on the Mississippi Supreme Court. Y'all, we can't let this happen. We can't let this happen. We cannot let this happen. So whatever we do, we've got to call folk and tell them to get back to the polls. This seat is too important for this lady to get it. Excuse me. It's too important. It is absolutely too important. We can't afford to go back. We don't need to go back and revisit Mississippi's racist past, Mississippi's racist history. We don't need to go back and revisit that, right? We don't. We don't need to do that, folks. So I implore you, I implore you, I implore you, get your folk back to the poll on Tuesday, November 26th. Get your people back to the polls on Tuesday, November 26th. Get your people back. You're right, Wendell. She's the only person with a partisan campaign. And judges are supposed to be what? Nonpartisan. The Republicans don't mind saying that's who they support. They don't mind saying that. We can defeat her. We need Jim Kitchens. We can defeat her. He'll be along with us on next week. He'll be along with us on next week. We've got work to do. Call your people. A low voter turnout is expected. Call your people. That's what she's banking on. She's banking on us not showing back up, right? She's banking on us not showing back up. Banking on them. Get your people back to the polls. Get them back to the polls. We need them, right? We need them. Get them back to the polls. We need them. All right, so let's move on because we're not going to be that long tonight. So let's move on. Let's move on. So there's this video that is resurfaced, and it's from an old council meeting. It's from an old council meeting, maybe last year sometime, but it's an old council meeting that shows Kenneth Stokes. And somebody made a post earlier today. How does these are not his words, these are mine, but how does the antics or theatrics of Kenneth Stokes make you feel? And my response to him was he was spot on. It didn't make me feel any kind of way except for the fact that I felt he was telling the truth. And he's always told the truth. And if truth be told, we all owe Kenneth Stokes an apology. If truth be told, we all owe him an apology because he has been spot on for so very long. Spot on for so very long. And maybe he don't say things like we would say them, but you can never detect a lie. And maybe we're embarrassed how he presents himself. Some, but you'll never detect a lie. You can never prove him wrong. I stand by that. You'll never prove him wrong. Let's look at this old video. And it's old, probably from last year. So many of you thought it was very recent.
Thief, 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 thief. Oh, we could get she started for jail. Well, she knows she already did the FBI back. President King already no recess. Yes.
And I get that it can be comical because it's funny to me. I get that it can be comical because it is absolutely funny to me. But it's truthful. It's truthful. He said that then. And look at where we are now. Yeah, so maybe, Jill, you're right. So maybe, Jill, you're right. His delivery may not be the best, or it may not be the way we would deliver things, but there are no lies detected. And you're right. We all need humor. Let's play that clip again. And this is old. This is last year, right? This is old. This is old. Let's show that clip again.
Thief, 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 thief. Oh, we could get she started for jail. Well, she knows she already did the FBI back. President King already no recess. Yes.
So I do like the fact that I really do like the fact that Lumumba kept decorum there, right? I do like the fact that he didn't break. He didn't give in. So I do like that. So I wanted to play that piece of humor before we turn it to our interview with Councilman Kenneth Stokes. So earlier today, I had an opportunity to sit down with him and caught up. Yeah, he did. He licked his tongue out, Jill. He did. So earlier today, I had an opportunity to catch up with Councilman Kenneth Stokes. And here's what I would tell you. I met him at the fire station on Woodrow Wilson. That's right at 5 Points, right where the Jackson Medical Mall is. So that fire station is right there at 5 Points. And it worked out so perfectly because we were doing a job there at the medical mall, and Kenneth Stokes was actually feeding first responders. So he was feeding firemen and policemen, and God bless his heart. God bless his heart, because he was in a very somber mood today. So you're not going to see all of this. Not going to see that. None of that. He was in a very somber mood today, and God bless his heart. He was telling me a story about how he started this and how long he's been doing this feeding program for policemen and firemen. He was telling me a story about the fire department had to do a wellness check on his brother. His brother is still suffering, from that episode that he had. But were it not for members of the Jackson Fire Department, his brother probably would not be alive today. So he's very somber, um, uh, very thoughtful, in his feelings, Um, but when I got there, he was like, "Get you something to eat, little bro." He called me little bro, little bro, little bro, little bro. My hero, he said to me, "Get you something to eat, get you something to eat." But I didn't eat. Um, but I sat there and we chatted, and then we waited for the room to clear, and then we had our conversation. So I want to bring you this conversation that was taped earlier today, and we'll talk about it on the other side. You have the institutional knowledge, you have the longevity, the history. Just talk about how do we get to this place and what this makes you think about being such a long servant.
Well, in government, it starts when you stop following and accepting the lowest bid. When you accept the lowest bid, things seem to stay on course. But whenever you start deviating,
Right.
then they're going to lead to problems. It first started when some black business people decided that they did not want Gibbs to work for waste management. They want to take the whole contract. I told them and others, you creating a black civil war. Don't do that.
Right.
At that point, Gibbs then were working up to become the prime. They didn't have the money to own trucks directly, but they were working up the ladder to
Right.
own trucks to
Right.
pick up garbage.
To build that capacity.
That's officially they call it build capacity. So at that point, others decided that, well, we're gonna get somebody else to come in and put Gibbs out. So I told them then, I said, well, look, you kicking a black man out of business. They saying, no, they work for a white man. I said, it matters not who they work for. They've been doing this for a long time.
Absolutely.
And that's who you would call if you have any problem. It was never really waste management. Most people don't even know who was with waste management.
Right.
From there, at no time was Richards the low bidder. Richards, who picking up garbage, was only the low bidder if you were using cans. The citizen said, we don't want garbage cans. So that X'd them out. So that meant that waste management was the low bidder without cans picking up 2 times
Right.
a week.
Right.
Now, there was another company that wanted to pick up 1 time a week with a can, without a can. They were the low bid on 1 time, but people didn't want 1 time. So at that point, you start doing things that weren't quite right. And it turned people back to Siemens, which wasn't quite right. You know, they keep saying that you paying Siemens $90 million. I think it was Mayor who said, no, you paying interest and all kinds
That's
of
right.
stuff added on to that.
That's right.
Fees and everything. It's over 200 some million that the citizens got to pay for. So I think at that point, you know, the federal government and others stopped being concerned. At one time, the current mayor said that I was taking kickback or payoff or something in foot. And, you know, I did what you should do if you're elected official, been there as long as I've been there. I sent a letter to the U.S. attorney asking them to investigate me, see what they saying, look everywhere, because government must be above board.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So at that point, there was nothing could be found because nothing hadn't been done wrong or anything else. Years and years ago, I want you to put a pin in that.
Okay.
The city of Jackson was in a position where they were going to build a convention center hotel.
Right.
They purchased all the property near the convention center for the hotel. One even had, there were going to be 2 hotels, but it was a company out of Texas, I think out of Dallas, who I guess won out on gonna be able to be the company to build the hotel.
Okay.
All right, the city through negligence, people who didn't do their job, gave city property to the people out of Texas who was supposed to build a hotel. They didn't build it. City asked them for their property back, and they told them you didn't have a reverter clause. So it's our property. By then, I have moved to the county. I think Mayor Lumumba, the senior, the daddy, they went through HUD. Now, this is hearsay. to get money to get the property back.
Okay.
So now the property back in the hands of the city have us where we are today, where they were caught in a sting about a convention center hotel that should have been built years and years ago.
Absolutely.
All right,
Like
now-
when the convention was first built, the
That's
hotel they had planned the hotel to be connected to.
That's right.
Right.
Some said it was gonna be a Holiday Inn. We saw renderings and everything else. So at that point, the issue in these communities became, did the DA set up the mayor or did the mayor set up the DA? Because the county district attorneys will not and have not built convention center hotels.
Unheard of.
So that's why they thought maybe the mayor was leading the DA down the rabbit hole. At that point, they called to set up meetings. They said, well, can they meet with you? At the time, number one, I don't really meet with people. Maybe they called. I don't know, because
Right.
I don't really meet with people anyway. So from there, they set up some of the council members, the mayor and the district attorney. But it's other issues that's out here that have people concerned. Siemens, the money for Siemens.
And that lawsuit
Scam.
seems like it was a scam.
That's what I'm saying. Siemens money out here. You still got the money that people concerned about, not just with Richards, the garbage contract, but they also concerned about the money that disappeared, the $1 million, just disappeared.
Right.
Nonprofit money.
Right.
Then they're concerned about how a lot of this nonprofit money is ending up in certain people's hands.
Right.
There's no accountability for the nonprofit money. So money just been disappearing, and people, they're concerned about money disappearing, but they really concerned about there's no services. You call, we got a pothole here, nobody come fix it.
Right.
We need grass cut here, nobody cut the grass.
Right.
We got cemetery ground, nobody. Why the money? Because they know the city has had money.
Plenty of it.
People keep paying taxes. It's a lot of tax money out here. Where's the accountability? And that brings us to where we are today.
Got it.
The federal government is going to come in when you have these kind of situations. We didn't talk about water. We didn't talk about people drinking poison.
Right.
Brown water, you ain't doing basic maintenance on your water system. All your good, great employees, you find a way to get rid of them.
Absolutely.
Dr. Williams ran public works in a very successful manner. He was gone. They had the young lady that was with the planning department. She was gone. All this institutional knowledge disappeared.
Right.
Who was keeping the train on the track? And the people just saying, look, something ain't right. It does not pass the smell test.
You've been saying and talking about this for a long time. And people say,
Absolutely.
well, you don't know what he's talking about, but you've called a spade for a long time.
Well, you have to, because people would say everybody was in on it. Everybody was stealing, everybody. Well, we didn't know about, oh yeah, you knew, because I was telling you. I said it loud over and over and over again. Anytime I got ready to vote on the garbage contract, anything with garbage, I did press conference.
Right.
I showed the paperwork. I showed who was the low bidder. This is why I'm voting this way. I'm gonna vote on the low bidder every time.
Right.
So it's not like people can say, well, we didn't know about it. Yeah, you knew about it, because Ken Stone every Sunday doing a press conference and he letting you know what's going on.
Absolutely.
So, some of those don't want to know. They want to bury their head in the sand. Then a lot of people were making money. It ain't just the mayor or the DA. A lot of people got some money. And I ain't talking about nickels and dimes.
Right.
They got hundreds of thousands of dollars from this city. But yet the city couldn't have basic city service to help the people.
Absolutely. Now, and that brings us to where we are right now. So with the indictments that have been leveled against the mayor, the DA, and Councilman Banks, do you think they should resign for the good of the city?
Well,
Even though they've not been in court and they've not been found guilty, it's just an indictment at this point.
they don't see it. My first statement was, think of your family. Think about your family. Put your family first. Do you want to put your family through a trial? Most of them have small children. You're going to destroy these children's lives forever. You're not fighting against the city of Jackson or Hinds County. This is the United States of America. My position would be, if you love the city, you would resign. At that point, we have some kind of leverage with the state, because the state can, and they know they can do things to hamper the city growth even more. They can work harder to take the airport away. They can show where mismanagement has taken place in the city. They already have the votes at the legislature. So why not be able to show that we made mistakes, but we have corrected those mistakes?
Right.
Let's leave it in the hands of the taxpayer, the people of Jackson.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the argument I would make.
Absolutely.
And I just hope that that others can see, put Jackson first. But before you put Jackson first, put your family first.
Absolutely. Have you ever seen the city in this kind of shape at this low level?
I was there when Louis Armstrong got set up to his son, but you didn't see this kind of money changing hands like that has taken place now on films and everything else. Uh, I believe that the city of Canton will bounce back. This is still the richest city in the state of Mississippi. I just think that you can't, you can't, you can't keep making excuses. You got to own up to some responsibility.
Right.
And I think the city with a few years of forgiveness and those kind of things, the city's gonna do a lot. We were competing against Nashville's, Houston's, and Dallas. Now we
Would
compete.
take trips and look at those citizens and compare Jackson to those cities.
But
Absolutely.
now we compete against Brandon and Richland and Pearl.
Right.
You know,
Right.
if you don't understand, you're going backwards. Nashville kept going up, and the people that redeveloped Chicago came out of Jackson. Stevens, he worked
That's right.
here in Jackson.
That's right.
And did the downtown homes and all of that kind of stuff. I think Jackson can move forward. We got to first make the city safe. You know, let's have more police officers. Let's put more money behind the police force so people feel safe in the city.
Absolutely.
Once you get the safety issue covered, then you got to make sure that you start paving the streets. People tearing up their cars, and you got to respond to citizens. What good is it to call 311, lodge a complaint, but nothing is done? What good is it to call any department of the city, lodge a complaint, but nothing is done?
Right.
You want to fix problems. You don't want to just watch a problem.
Got it. Listen, you recently had a meeting at PJ's church.
Mhm.
There was a video going around. Seemed to be a disturbance there. What happened at that meeting?
Well, I don't want to say the mass send his people in, but you know, they came in with the intention to disturb a meeting at a church. And I asked the lady, because at first, Judge Shampson was speaking, and he was talking about the $90 million. And the lady said, well, ask the councilman, he there. You know, I could tell they didn't know the facts because, you know, I always voiced my opposition to Siemens. And I voted, even when I moved to the county, when they took the other vote, Rita voted against it. And Reverend Williams told them all of that. But the intent was to disrupt the meeting. But, you know, you got good people, and these ladies need to understand, they sending ladies to disrupt meetings, and then when somebody finna slug them, then they say, you finna hit a woman. No, you come here like a man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, understand what you're doing when you come into these situations. They're not gonna let you on them and those kind of things. If you put yourself out there like a man, be ready for combat.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And Councilman, you said that we can bounce back and the city will bounce back. But what does this do for public trust?
Oh man, people people want to believe in Jackson, but they saw these thieves just robbing the city. They didn't have to do it. They didn't have to rob the city. Most of these people got plenty of money. They got plenty of money. They
I
not
think that's why
coming
people are
from
so surprised.
they not coming from these backgrounds where they ain't have anything that they want. They had most of them are educated. They don't have a lot of bills. It's just that it's monkey see, monkey do, as they used to see, as they used to say. Monkey see, monkey do. You saw somebody getting away with murder, then you want to kill. You saw somebody getting away with stealing, then you want to steal. But the older people said, if Joe jump in the river, you gonna jump in the river.
Mm.
So you can't allow because these people look like they successful having fun stealing, make you want to thief.
Absolutely.
You got to give account. That's why it's so important that you keep reading the Bible and keep your hand in God's hand and you trust God. Because it look like the devil winning, but he can't win. So there's some good young talent out here. These young people going to college, they're getting educated, they know how to represent all segments of the community. There's so many things you could do to help poor people move up to the top.
Absolutely.
One thing that the city of Jackson was doing was giving people an opportunity to work. And that's what they took away from the city. They took the opportunity to work.
Got it.
When they start giving us the friends, why not have them as city employees so they can have a retirement? When they get older, they'll have a check coming every month.
Does it disappoint you, make you feel sad about where we are?
Well, it hurts because number one, you're talking about the number one leader in the black world was Chuck Ray Lumumba Sr. You didn't know this, but it wasn't his fault as it was those people surrounding him. Daddy dead. So you gonna let him be around dope boys, deal with dope? You wouldn't want your child going through that.
Right.
And if the daddy was alive, none of that would have happened. He would have squashed all of that. It wouldn't have happened.
Right.
But then them dope boys, a lot of them so smooth and they think they can talk the sweetness out of sugar, they'll trick you.
Right.
And that's what they thought they had done.
Absolutely.
But the only thing about being tricked, everybody know what's going on. Them people over in Richland, New Madison County, Rankin County, because they stopping these dope boys and the dope boys telling you everything going on. They knew what was happening at the upper level. They knew who was smoking dope at the upper level. I just said it out loud.
You said it out loud.
And then they won't say, well, Kenny don't know. The other say, well, Kenny ain't gonna say it unless he know.
Absolutely. What kind of words of encouragement? We're going to wrap it up. What kind of words of encouragement will you give these three young men that found themselves in all this trouble?
Put your family first. Put your family first. I'd rather do 5 years than 35. Put your family first. Your family gonna be the most important people in your world. Don't destroy your children. Don't make your children turn to drugs or alcohol or other things. Some could even commit suicide with this kind of stuff. Put your family first. You've seen trials. You know how trials go.
Absolutely.
And especially a criminal trial when they're gonna leak information from filing reports and they're gonna get it, they're gonna put this out and the children got to read it. Put your family first.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say it for everybody. I think everybody that ever doubted anything you said, I think everybody owe you an apology.
It's all right.
I
We
think
thank you so
everybody
much.
owe you an
And let me
apology.
say this now. I'm not running for that. Let me say it, and I keep saying it over and over. What can it travel? No. My son told me, he said, Dad, you'll win, but little kid. They just lost their mom. It ain't been a year and a half. I'm not running for mayor. And I hope my children give me the green light to run for the council again. But if they tell me not, I won't. Because all we got is family.
Absolutely.
Family first.
Okay. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Man, listen, let me tell you something. I really enjoyed the time that I spent with Councilman Stokes earlier today. That's wisdom on steroids, right? Um, um, that's wisdom on steroids, complete wisdom. Nothing but utter respect for Councilman Stokes. Nothing but utter respect for Councilman Stokes. He just tells the truth in an unadulterated kind of way. He speaks truth to power. So much respect for him. Listen, it pains me. It pains me that some of our seemingly intelligent people tend to go off on tangents, when we're in a crisis like this. What's going on with Tate Reeves, Brett Favre, Phil Bryant has absolutely nothing to do with what's happening in Jackson. That's separate. Bad? Yeah, very bad. Sad? Yeah, very sad. Bad. But that's not why we're here. That's not how we got here. And it is a difference of opinion, right? But it's also attempting to mix oil and water. Let's be very clear on that. And when you say Tate Reeves hasn't resigned, has he been indicted? Is he on tape taking money and bribes? Do we have an indictment on him? It is a false equivalent, Greg. Absolutely. So I think we need to stop that. I think we need to stop doing that. Right? I think we need to stop doing that. We can't blame the white man for where we are in this city. Right? We need to stop doing that. Has Tate Reeves been indicted? Was Phil Bryant indicted? Why would one ask them to resign? That's mixing oil and water, and it has nothing to do in this space. And to your comment about being sure, being sure that people who work in Jackson don't necessarily live in Jackson, as true as that may be, that's not what he was saying, sir. See, sometimes we need to position ourselves to listen, to comprehend, and not listen to defend. And far too often we do that. I think that we've got to posture ourselves, position ourselves to listen, to comprehend, and not listen to defend everything. That's not what he was saying. What he said was, there are Black folk connected to waste management, the garbage contract. There were Black folk connected. And the narrative that went out is that waste management was white and there were no African Americans involved in that business, which was a lie. I said it then and I have said it since, and I will continue to say it. That was a lie. That was a false narrative. And that's what this administration put out. That there were no African American businesses connected to waste management. And that was a lie. And that's what he was saying. You're taking business and opportunities from folk in Jackson. And these people that were connected live in Jackson. So I think that we need to listen to comprehend and stop listening to defend. No matter how you feel, just listen. Just listen. And you can have a difference of opinions. I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. I respect that. But what you're not entitled to is to think that your understanding and narrative is the truth. We can debate, but you can't debate facts. We can debate opinions, but you can't debate facts. Richard's disposal is not reputable. Go look in New Orleans, right? Leave emotions out of it, absolutely. Richard's disposal is not reputable. And here's my belief. There are 3 more sealed indictments. And I believe that we're going to get to the bottom of this Richards contract when these other indictments come down. right? And we're going to find out. We've got to find out more about this garbage situation. You know, there are some basic elements for a functioning municipality, for a functioning government. There's some basic elements: water and sewer, fire and police, and garbage. Three basic tenets of government for any municipality: water and sewer, fire and police, and garbage. And under this administration, we have failed in all three areas. All three. All three. We failed. All three. We failed. All three basic tenets of government. We failed in all three. This administration. To let garbage pile up on the street in Jackson for as long as it did, you have to wonder why. You have to wonder why. What was so important? What was so important? What was so important? You have to wonder why. Three basic tenets of government for any municipality: water, sewer, police, fire, and garbage. This administration failed in all three. All three. All three. Marquita, I absolutely agree. And I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to be very transparent right now. Because if we're honest, and if you remember, I stood toe to toe with Banks. And Sylvester, infrastructure is important, but it's not in the top three. But you're right, it's important. But listen, I want to go back to Marquita, points. For Banks to change his position on the garbage vote, you have to wonder why. If you remember, you can pull old videos. I stood side by side, toe to toe with Banks with his position on the garbage situation. And then he flipped. And then he changed. And then he became council president. And then he and I slowly, seemingly drifted apart. My position on the garbage never changed. His did. And out of all the folk that were standing with him on the council, Banks, Foot, Hartley, they didn't change. Banks changed. I didn't know that it would come to this, and still don't understand if or how it's connected. But I knew when he changed, something was wrong. Something was wrong. I felt it was off. I felt he was off. I felt that he became distant. I felt all of that. And I shared it with him. So this isn't a new conversation at all. I shared it with him. Banks and I were like this. But when he changed his vote on that garbage contract, that garbage situation, it's like there was a shift. It's like there was an absolute shift. I said it to him then. I said, brother, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how this happened. I don't know why you changed. Foot didn't change. Stokes didn't change. Hartley didn't change. He was the only one. Then he became council president. And I said, something is not right. And that's all I said. Because I didn't know anything else. And to Bank's credit, he told me, tired of the garbage being on the street, we need to get this done. And I said, okay, I hear you. I hear you. I said, I hear you. I hear you. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it then. And I don't buy it now. So we just got to be honest. We just got to be honest. We got to own where we are. And right now in this city, we are in a pickle. But I'm going to tell you this before we get out of here. I'm going to tell you this. Voters, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility in this city. We have responsibility. We have a responsibility in this city. I'm just telling you. We'll talk more and more about it, but we have a responsibility in this city. All right? I'm just telling you. So my thanks to Councilman Kenneth Stokes. My thanks to him for sitting down. Um, you know, and this will be the last comment that I address, from you, Thaddeus. But brother, I don't know what you're talking about. One black on the waste management leadership team. Brother Robert Gibbs and Jamie Travis were the miners on that contract who had a whole business, employed a ton of people, black people. They weren't the major, they were the minor. They were doing the work. They had the infrastructure to get it done. Richards had to park their trucks illegally, had to wait on new trucks, right? Had to borrow trucks. Let me stop. Because oftentimes we talk and we don't know what we're talking about, right? And so I don't even really need to go down that rabbit hole with you tonight, and I'm not. So I'll leave that alone. I'm not going down that rabbit hole with you because you don't know what you're talking about at all. And that is, ain't got nothing but love and respect for you, right? Nothing but love and respect for you. But brother, you're going down a rabbit hole that you're not even clear on. So I'll just stop there. But thank you, Councilman Kenneth Stokes. I think that as citizens of Jackson, we are indebted to you. I think that as citizens of Jackson, we owe you an apology. An apology. We do. We owe you an apology. We do. Appreciate your time. We appreciate your time. And so that is really, I would hope that you would stop commenting. I don't care about Kim Smith being the only African American on the waste management leadership team. That's not what we're talking about, sir. We're talking about how they lost this contract. We're talking about this administration trying to say no African Americans were connected to the contract, and that's a lie. I don't care about who was on or who's on Waste Management's team. Gibson Travis, a whole black firm, a whole black company, was fully invested and fully connected to them and employed black people in Jackson. Those of us that live here, right? So don't do that. Don't push this conversation to somewhere it doesn't need to go, right? So come on, man, don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. And he is all over the place, you know. So don't do it. And I got it. I see the comment, and you want to correct all this misinformation because at the end of the day, where we are, these people are responsible for this. It's not about Brett Favre, Phil Bryant, Tate Reeves resigning. It's about where we are right now in Jackson, in the city of Jackson. Those of us that live here, that are vested here. That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's a sad day in Jackson. These are sad times in Jackson. And we have nobody to blame but us. Nobody to blame but us. Nobody to blame but us. Right? Nobody to blame but us. Caleb, I agree with that. Caleb, I absolutely, since the whole garbage fiasco came about, I felt the city was capable of handling its own solid waste. I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one. Listen, guys, I got to get out of here. Thank you so much. And we've got so many other things to talk about as well, because I've got to get Supervisor Wanda Evers into this space, because it's sad that there's so many people trying to take credit for all this work that she's doing in South Jackson. So we got to talk about that. There's so much more to talk about than just this space that we're in. Supervisor Evers is doing amazing work in South Jackson. South Jackson elected her overwhelmingly, and she's doing amazing work there. But it's so many people biting at the apple, trying to take care or trying to take credit for the work that she's doing. So we got to talk about that. We got to talk about these upcoming municipal elections, but we got to get through these runoffs. And we got to get Jim Kitchens back in office. So we got to spend some time really pumping up that conversation, right? We gotta do it. We gotta do it. We gotta do it. Hey guys, that's it for me. I'm gonna put this graphic up where you can scan and donate to us. Um, if you're led to do that, we are extremely appreciative. If you are led to do that, we would be ever so grateful. All you got to do is scan that and share with us. But there's so much more that we got to cover, and so much more that we've got to talk about. But here's what I would tell you. Here's what I would tell you. We're going to stay focused, and we're going to continue to bring you the best information that we have, that we can possibly give. Again, if you see Councilman Stokes, right? If you see Councilman Stokes, give him a thumbs up, right? Give him a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you again.
Oh, we could get Keystone. Well, she knows she already did the FBI back. No recess. Yes.
consider your families. Take it from an old man. They have small children. A lot of people who are walking with them, stabbing them in the back. Once they get time, they won't see or hear them anymore in their life. Consider your families.